not?
I'll be able to meet with the mayor and the deputy mayor prior to then.
All right, thank you. All right, which brings us to item number 10, Phoenix Center update. Mayor Deidre Waterman and Gwen Fox.
No.
Just in case anybody doesn't know the difference, I am Mayor Deirdre Waterman and not Gwen Fox. I cannot sing the way she can sing as she did at the town hall, and that's what I'm supposed to present about this evening. But she, as she sang there and remembered, as she sang on the amphitheater at the town hall, and talked about how much she wished we could bring back the kind of activities and festivals and concerts and things we had on the amphitheater. And she remembered some of the events she had participated in, and many in the crowd were struck by that nostalgia because we too remembered being on the amphitheater and wondered what it would take to get back there again. So that's what I'm here to tell you about in terms of the steps that need to go forward and what council we want you to do and consider, and what we want the public to know about and where we are in this process. I have for you on the picture, and some of you may notice if you've been out between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. and 6 a.m., you will see that we have lit up the awning on the Phoenix Center with a light show that is very beautiful. One of my staff did capture this picture. And this we did at the town hall as just a semblance of what can happen if we go ahead and maintain the Phoenix Center and meet the terms of the settlement, which we have labored with and made sure that we have hammered out the terms of this settlement for the lawsuit that was started by the emergency manager. It took 4 years for us to work this out with the team that I had set up, the attorney's team. But now the ball is in our hands. We have before us the opportunity now to maintain the Phoenix Center in our ownership, not losing it as we had other structures in the past, such as the Silverdome and the community centers and Lot 9 and the water treatment center and all that. But we must move forward according to a deadline that has been set by the court to satisfy the settlement. So we talked about that at the town hall, and we had a number of presenters who were there. One of the presenters was the project manager that we have hired from ALC, who has brought in a number of architectural designers who have done renderings. You know, sometimes we can talk about what might happen if we do the Phoenix Center and maintain it and bring it back to code and again bring that activity, not only to be able to use it again as a parking garage, but also to connect it to our downtown to have other activities there. And so these are some of the renderings that were brought back by the architectural designers. Go back to the rendering. Okay, please. And they're also seen on the display that we have outside here in the mobile display with the drawings and things. These are just concepts. Nothing here is cast in stone, but this just gives you a picture, Pontiac, of this is your facility. And you can take and do with it what you want, but we don't have to lose it. Now, one of the things that we talked about at the town hall was many people who are leaders that you recognize who also remember what a jewel this is and why we should maintain it. And I'm going to quote a couple of people who are here right now, including I see on this document that I bring for you. I'm not showing any videos, but I'm showing this document that was presented last year talking about the Phoenix Center and Ottawa Towers. And we have here Council President, who says, and I quote him, this is his picture right here, "I have fond memories of events at the Phoenix Center with my family and feel strongly that we must save this jewel of our community." I have here also, I see Mark Collin is here in our audience. He was a council person, I guess, when he was quoted, and this is his picture, and he was quoted as saying, "This Phoenix Center was built to provide parking for downtown businesses, and it has a large recreational space with an attractive amphitheater. Its future could one day include community events like concerts, once again playing at the amphitheater, attracting thousands of people to downtown." So that's the image that we want to bring back. And at the presentation, the project managers talked about the timeline that we must move on in order to meet the terms of the settlement. If we don't meet these deadlines, and that's encroaching upon us, then we go back to court. We go back to court, then it's possible that we lose it, and we don't get rid of the damages that the Ottawa Tower sued us for. We end up paying for that anyway. So I quoted and showed, where did we have that? Something, I'm going to have you, the Phoenix Center. I'm sorry, the Silverdome. Many of you remember this building, the Silverdome? Okay. Let's hold that up. This building, which many of you noticed, that was one we imploded. That was our Silverdome. And I bring that back as an example of where we are with the Phoenix Center right now. You know, the Silverdome was something that's no longer in our hands. It was sold off by the emergency manager for $583,000. Now, many of you may not remember, but some of the old timers will. Back in the early 2000s, 1990s, when we were no longer using the Silverdome for our sports, Pistons had left, Lions had left, and it was just sitting there. The city was just maintaining it, paying for that. So there were several developers, 3 developers that came up and said, we will pay the city, you know, $20 million in one case, $22 million in another case, to bring developments. And the city had a chance to sell that and to get $20 million for our general fund. But instead, you know, they got to dithering, and one councilman wanted one thing, another one wanted another thing. And after months of this going back and forth, instead of having the Silverdome and be able to keep it and get $20 million for ownership of it, all the developers went away. So instead of getting $20 million, the city went into bankruptcy, went into emergency manager, and instead we lost it for $583,000. Okay. That's where we are right now with the Phoenix Center. We have the opportunity, and it's only an opportunity if we seize that. We have to have council vote to fund the way to save this Phoenix Center to meet the terms of the settlement. And we have a length of time in which we have to do that. It's in your hands, but it's in the people's hands, because I want the people to have a say in this. Now, the other thing we talked about at the town hall was the options, and that's the next slide, the options that we had presented to the public for being able to finance the bringing the prayers and the maintenance that need to be done for the Phoenix Center. So there are 4 options, essentially. One is to do nothing. We just tell the judge we're not going to abide by the settlement agreement, and we risk a judgment levy. If that happens, then the cost of the damages and the repairs can be visited on every citizen of the city of Pontiac. And that would amount to, one figure comes to as high as $802 for every man, woman, child in the city of Pontiac. Cash out of your pocket. I don't like that one. I don't know about you, but I don't need to have $802 taken out of my pocket to pay a judgment levy that I can find other ways to pay. The second way is, one of the things you hear is that the city now has built up a rainy day fund. We have a surplus now. And it's to pay the full $16.6 million from the general fund, from the surplus we have. Well, many of you know that's not good finances. You know, if you have a piggy bank and you're saving for your house, or saving for a rainy day, or saving from emergency, you don't spend it all in one item, because then you go back to, you know, you have no rainy day fund. So that's not wise and prudent for cities to do, or for citizens to do, for that matter. So that's probably not an option that is recommended by any of our advisors or leaders. The third one is to issue bonds for the full $16.6 million to bring it up to code. Now that can be paid out over the lifetime of the Phoenix Center. And the civil engineers who have estimated all that have evaluated the building, said if we do these repairs, we'll get 40 to 50 more years of useful life out of that building. So it's paid out gradually over time. Now, this is the only option that does not increase taxes. And that's why a lot of us like it. You know, I don't like having to pay more taxes. Does not increase taxes. It's paid out over the 4 years. And it's recommended by all the bond counselors and the financial advisors who are brought here. It's also the way Most cities do capital improvements like this. Some of you may have heard that Cobo Hall is changing its name to TCF. In fact, we were down there for the Labor Day parade, weren't we, Veronica? And we saw there's already the name TCF on Cobo Hall. They've already changed it. The way they're paying for those renovations is by capital improvement bonds. The way they pay for Warren, the new city hall, capital improvement bonds. Smart cities do that. And the thing is, we haven't used it in a while because it's been a long time since the city has been bondable. You know, for 14 years, we have not been financially solvent that we could get bonds, that we could get rating. It's like getting credit, okay? You have to have a certain financial solvency to be able to get credit.
All right,
We
that's your
now
time.
can get credit.
That's your time, Madam Mayor. We do have
I didn't
questions.
realize that it was 10 minutes, but can I talk about the survey?
No, that was your time. That was your time.
Could I have a point of privilege?
Your
Oftentimes people-
Your time is your time, Madam Mayor.
That's your closing.
You
All
have
right.
your time. You spent a lot of time talking about the Silverdome. We
Well,
talked
I'm
about
just
the Phoenix
trying to
Center.
get people an idea. All right,
I just have several questions for you.
okay.
Okay. As a council person, I've asked for several RFPs to be done.
Yes,
One, for the possible sale of the Phoenix Center.
right,
Number two, for a long-term lease of the Phoenix Center.
right,
Number three, a public-private partnership for the Phoenix Center.
yes,
Number four, authority for the Phoenix Center, similar to Cobo that you mentioned. That is not just run by the city of Detroit, but also has been subsidized almost $2 million a year from the state of Michigan in order to make it solvent and to make it go.
right.
You created this survey, and I'll let you talk about it because none of those options are on your survey. And so you want the citizens to max out the city credit card before any other options have been explored. And so the question that I have, Madam Mayor, is this. What is the actual dollar amount for the repairs of the Phoenix Center? Number two, how long will this $16.5 million take to be paid off? Number three, is it not true, because you took us down memory lane with the Silverdome, that the emergency manager sold off the lease to our water treatment facility and then paid bonds on that very same Phoenix Center first back to Oakland County? So those are my questions, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
Okay. 4 different questions you asked, and let me see if I can remember, because that, several different things. The first one was about, you asked to have, well, the council asked to have several other RFPs prepared for other alternatives in addition to financing it. So those alternatives are being prepared. You asked the financial advisor to do that, and he is in the process of doing that and getting them to us, and those will be presented. Those are to run concurrently, though, with the time frame for this, is what you had asked for, because none of these options exclude, if we get manna from heaven and somebody comes and wants to buy it for a price we want to sell it at, and not just steal it from us, then that's perfectly acceptable. What we want to do in order to meet the terms of the settlement is to get started with this option, because we did try to sell it. Remember, we spent about 6 months with a buyer, but then that didn't work out. So it's potential we can get somebody who comes to the public partnership. We look for those, we seek those out. What we're talking about is not exclusive of any of those options if those were to occur. But we can't wait for manna to fall from heaven, because time is ticking. And we know the danger if we don't meet the deadline in terms of the lawsuit. So it would not be prudent just to sit and wait and hope somebody comes along, to do that. Those things can occur if somebody comes along, they wants to buy it, they want to go into public-private partnership, they want to lease out. That's all something we can do. But council signed the settlement back in November. So to protect the people, you need to move ahead and make sure we can fulfill the terms of the settlement. Because if we go back to court and lose it, we don't do any private partnerships, we can't sell it, we can't do anything, we got another Silverdome. Okay? So that's what I wanted to say about that. Now,
Hold on, you didn't answer that
so
question.
you answered the question about, those will be presented to you, in fact, September 10th, next week, is when we will bring those forward to you and for discussion. So as people come in, we want you to be here for that discussion. You got to tell council. It's their balls in their hands now. I've done everything I can do. You know, we've gotten the settlement done. We won the lawsuit. We kept the ownership of it. So now it's what the people want and what's best interest of the people. In order to maintain that structure, the choice is between maintaining it or losing it. And I think you can see, and people could see who were there at the town hall, how much we would want to keep it. So, and that gives me a chance to interject the survey, because we want to do a survey to get people's ideas about how we should move forward and to advise council. So that survey, our sheets are here. They'll be online on the website. We did do a survey. We did pass it out to the seniors today. And so one of the things about the survey is that you fill out the survey, and we're going to give you the chance to enter the lottery for 2 free tickets to the Pontiac Music Festival. So that's on the survey, and we'll do the drawing next Tuesday at 5 o'clock, September 10th. But we do encourage people to come, and we'll put it on the agenda with the RFPs, and we hope those will run concurrently, because we can't wait for something, some imaginary deal to come forward to be able to start the timeline, because we have a very strict timeline, or we go back to court. Let's not do that.
You didn't answer my other 2 questions.
What were the other 2?
The question was, how much is required by the settlement to pay?
Yes.
And when will this $16.5 million you're asking for be paid off?
Okay. I think I said the $16.6 million is the way the bonds are written, and the way these capital funds can be paid off over the lifetime of the owners of the lifetime of the Phoenix Center garage, the structure. So as I said to you, it can be paid off over 40, 50 years. It's like you buy a car, you know. Very few people just put down the money. They pay it out over time. And over time, when you pay it, if you look at your note, you know, when you add up what you pay some interest. You know, that's what financing it is. So when you buy capital improvement bonds, you are actually financing, just like you're financing your car or paying a mortgage on your house. Same thing. Except municipalities, cities who can afford, cities who are doing capital improvement projects. You know, not everybody has the solvency to do this, and for a long time we didn't. A lot of cities still have financially insolvent, and so they can't do big projects like this, but we're there. And we can, and I hope we will.
And my last question, Madam Mayor, was did or did not the emergency manager give the proceeds from the wastewater treatment facility to the county to pay off bonds for the Phoenix Center?
They paid off the bonds, yes, for the Phoenix Center. That's right, because we had had spent money, had built the amphitheater with bonds. The garage was built with bonds. City Hall, everything's built with bonds. City Hall was built by bonds. That's what municipalities do. So, and the bonds money, instead of being, that's the story. The emergency manager, instead of using it to pay for retiree health, he used them to pay off the bonds to save the interest. So that's what the emergency manager does, and it said that's spilt milk right now. But happy to say, since you bring up the bonds to pay off the retiree health, we've also settled that litigation. We're trying to move forward so we can get the insurance back to our retirees.
Anybody else got a question?
I had a couple.
Okay. Pro Tem Carter.
Well, Mayor, I mean, my documents don't agree with your words. I can say that right now, we're only talking about the Phoenix Center garage, because right now, I'm looking at my document, the 2 buildings themselves are up for sale for $16,700. 16 million, I'm sorry, my bad. $16 million for the 2 buildings, so right now, we're only talking about the garage. First of all, there's 7,000...
Up for sale? I'm not following you. What's up for sale?
The 2 buildings themselves are for sell for $16,750,000.
Ottawa Towers is not us, has nothing to do with what I'm
I
talking about.
understand. Let that clear to the public. We're only talking about a garage with Madonna's bra on it.
Okay.
Okay, the settlement is $7,350,000 we owe to the towers. We owe $350,000 for the towers attorneys. The towers have free parking for their tenants over 10 years. The fourth thing, the city, quote, in addition, the city of Pontiac reaffirmed specific obligations imposed on the city to repair and maintain the Phoenix Center on an expedited and ongoing basis, which is not clear since we are not the client with the attorney. We've been begging for breadcrumbs to find out what was promised to those people.
The settlement agreement is something that you signed, and so you have a copy of it. You have a copy of it.
Some of us,
It's available.
some of us, be clear, Mayor, only some of us.
It was presented to council. You have a copy of it. It was presented to you, and that's what you voted on. You signed it as council.
Well, Mayor, I guess.
Okay.
Basically, she played us as
Pardon. I guess the grand thing is, if the city was never able to pay $10,000 a month to pay a light bill for the
Okay.
Phoenix, the city never was able to have the elevators inspected, the fire system inspected, let alone the liability insurance that we were never able to do, but now we got a grandiose amount of money that from somewhere miraculously is going to pay for all this building and the people.
I'm not quite sure what your question is, but one of the things you did say was we owe the Ottawa Towers $7 million because they've done all the repairs. We couldn't afford to do them for 14 years. They did the repairs.
$7 million.
So we owe them that. Now, by terms of the settlement, it wipes out anything we owe them. It wipes out the liens. That's the beauty of the win that we made with the settlement. So it says that we don't have to pay them that. We don't have to pay the liens. They can't put liens on the property. That all we have to do is make the repairs that we should have done anyway.
Yes.
And so that's what we were able to settle, and that's why it's a win for the city to be able to capture that.
One last tiny statement.
Okay.
In our budget, because we was figuring on $6 million, we did include in the budget $600,000 per year, $600,000 per year for 10 years, without taking bonds out to go into the repair and maintenance of the parking structure.
Yes. That's part of the settlement, yes. That part of it we're financing by paying certain amounts. There was a certain bulk amount that we had to pay to front load the settlement. And we had paid a certain amount of that, and we were able to work out a deal. We don't have to pay it all in cash. We paid it $600,000 over a period of a few years. We've already made, I think, our finance director here, I think we've already made 2 of those payments. So we're already well into the deal. You know, we have money on this deal now that you signed, Council. You agreed to it, November 1st.
Attorney Sharp.
Said, let's settle this legislation. Let's not keep going to litigation. Let's not keep paying the lawyers.
Attorney
So
Sharp.
that's what we're doing.
Yes, what would you like, what is, do you have a question for me, or what?
Well, if you could just explain to the citizens, because right now we got a lot of fast talking. And so I want to just make sure, because listen, the
Let's
mayor
have respect
clearly,
for each other. I'm not
Hold on.
fast talking anyone. Let's have respect.
let's have respect.
I'm not fast talking anybody. I'm calling people
For you to, because
disrespect me by saying a fast talker, please.
Okay, you're a slow talker. Okay, I'm great. So, Madam Mayor.
Be facetious.
Madam
I'm
Mayor.
trying to respect you. I'm trying to respect the process. Would you please do that also,
Madam
Mr.
Madam
Council
Mayor,
President?
respecting the process
Okay.
is not sending out a survey that is front-loaded with a paragraph of narrative before, and then saying the only one that doesn't raise taxes, and you highlight it in circle 1 and then send it to the council. That's being facetious. That's playing on the intelligence of the people.
telling the truth.
If the city council has asked for, listen, Madam Mayor, you've decided to put these things out, not on a basis, you didn't need the paragraph before. If you just put those 4 options up there without any editorial,
Yeah.
then people could choose impartially on what they want to do.
Don't be
But you,
afraid
hold on,
to hear the
I
people
watched you.
speak. Let's hear the people speak.
Hold on. I watched
People
you.
chance to speak, Council President.
Madam
Don't be
Mayor.
afraid of what the people want to say.
Hold on. She's not intimidated. No, listen, the good thing is, we're gonna let Attorney Sharp please clarify where we are as a city, with the settlement. I think Ms. Sharp, because she's not, political, can give us an unbiased edge that I want all the citizens of Pontiac here. Because one of the things the mayor keeps quoting is, all the bond people tell us to do this. Well, the bond people get paid every time they come to a meeting. So they're going to, of course, say whatever's in their interest to make sure that they're making interest. So I want Attorney Sharp to say it for some clarity so we can take the council out of it, take the administration out of it, and hear from somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game on that point.
Only thing I can say is I don't have the settlement in front of me. However, I know that this issue that is presented is as it relates to the repairs. So whether the amount is 16 million, whether the amount is 19 million, I think that everybody needs to be mindful. We're just talking about repairs, from my understanding. I don't know what the exact figure is, but we're just talking about repairs. There are other costs that are associated with this settlement as well. And just to piggyback off of what Council Pro Tem Carter is, I think, attempting to try to convey is that, yes, to the mayor's point, the council did in fact sign the settlement. However, the problem from my purview, even though I have not been here but for 2 years, so I wasn't here, this has been ongoing. The problem is it was basically presented to the council that this is what has been concluded, and for the council basically either to take the settlement or not. So it's not like the council had any negotiation power, if you will. They have not been involved in going back and forth and trying to come up with an alternative. So basically, that is what happened as it relates to where we are with this settlement. From my perspective, again, when you talk about Cobo Hall in the city of Detroit, I am from the city of Detroit. It's in an authority, okay? Because of the fact that the city could not handle the cost associated with that. It is a revenue generator, and not to say that the Phoenix Center can't be a revenue generator. However, you're talking about a parking structure which a number of spaces are given to a entity in perpetuity, because aside from the 10 years, it renews. So that right there is going to cut into any potential revenue stream that you may have. Now, I would like to see myself what a projection would look like in the event that you have these spaces. How many spaces are there going to be available that are not reserved for that business, and what potentially would those figures look like? Because I think you need to look at all of that with this. Yes, we're talking about $16 and $19 million just for repairs. And I get the argument of, well, you know, this is what we would have paid. Well, let me just, from here again, this is my analogy. It's just like if you have bills that you neglect, right? You have these monthly expenses every single month, but if they don't get paid, what happens? Interest and penalties, right, accrue. So that doubles, triples. So though you can say that these expenses should have been paid over time, now you're faced with this monumental bill, and they weren't paid. In addition to, just like a house, if you don't make repairs, what happens to it? Now you've got double the problems. So just being mindful of all of those issues. It's not just $19 million. It's a lot more than that.
All right, thank you, Attorney Sharp. We're going to move on to number 13.
Between this or that?
Item number 13. Item number 13.
That's our choice.
Item 13, resolution to approve a zoning text amendment of the City of